Picture this. A grand ceremony, big smiles and headlines screaming about a historic new trade deal between the UK and the US. It looked like a victory lap. Cameras flashing, flags waving, handshakes all around. But behind those glossy photos, a totally different story was unfolding. While everyone was busy watching the handshakes, a quiet trap was being set. The Trump administration didn't ditch those new trade taxes on the UK. Nope, they locked them in like a vault. And we're not talking pennies here. A flat 10% tax on every British product heading to America. That so-called lifeline the UK thought it had been thrown? Turns out it was more like an anchor. Overnight, everything from British cars to fine Scottish whiskey suddenly cost 10% more for American buyers. Boom, UK exporters were blindsided. That special relationship suddenly felt a lot like an unbalanced friendship. The kind where one side keeps paying for dinner. The celebration ended before the champagne went flat, leaving Britain to face a tough new economic hangover. Now let's follow the money and the chaos right to Britain's front door. If you want to see what a trade war looks like, head straight to the ports. Felixstowe and Southampton? Absolute mayhem. Picture rows of containers stacked like Jenga towers, ships stuck waiting weeks just to dock, and workers running on caffeine and chaos. It's a full-blown logistical nightmare. Shipping costs? Up by 25 to 40%. And guess who ends up footing that bill? Yep, regular people, paying more for clothes, electronics, you name it. But this isn't just bad luck or poor management. This is the fallout of a global economic slugfest. The UK isn't a spectator anymore, it's the boxing ring. So, how did Britain end up caught in the middle of a US-China trade brawl? It all comes down to money's favorite rule. It always finds the easiest route. When the US hit China with massive tariffs, sending goods straight to America became way too expensive. But global trade flows like water, block one path, and it'll find another. That new route? You guessed it, through the UK. Think of it like a massive traffic jam. If the main highway's blocked, drivers flood through the back roads. Chinese goods started taking the scenic route, shipped to British ports, repackaged, and quietly sent off to other destinations, including the US. The UK, no longer shielded by the EU, became the convenient detour in America's tariff maze. Now those ports are choking under the weight of cargo that was never meant for them. But while the ships are stuck offshore, it's the small businesses on land that are drowning. Family-run factories, startups, independent exporters that are the real backbone of Britain's economy, are getting crushed. This isn't a geopolitical chess match for them. It's survival. With freight prices through the roof and US tariffs biting hard, the hit has been brutal. Over £500 million in losses for small and medium businesses. Imagine running a small pottery shop. Your clay's stranded at sea, you're paying 30% more just to get it, and then Uncle Sam slaps a 10% tax on your mugs. Poof, there goes your profit margin. Multiply that by thousands of companies, and you've got a national crisis. These aren't corporate giants with cushy reserves. They're local employers forced into impossible decisions. Raise prices and lose customers, fire staff, or close the doors for good. The human cost of this trade war isn't measured in policy papers. It's measured in layoffs and for sale signs. And if this all feels painfully familiar, that's because it is. This crisis has ripped open an old wound: Brexit. Remember global Britain? The grand dream of cutting new deals on its own terms? Reality check. It's looking more like lonely Britain. Outside the EU's protective bubble, the UK is a small boat in stormy seas, trying to negotiate with aircraft carriers. The EU has the scale to push back against US tariffs or China's maneuvers. Britain, sailing solo, doesn't. This port chaos and lopsided US deal have laid bare a harsh truth. Post-Brexit Britain is a middleweight in a heavyweight fight. The independence it fought for is now the very thing leaving it exposed to economic blows from all sides. And that special relationship with the US? Let's just say it's going through a rough patch. Washington wanted to hit China. Instead, it accidentally rerouted the problem straight through the UK. Now America's fuming, accusing Britain of helping China sneak past the rules. The irony? The very rules the US wrote. And here's the kicker. Washington's demanding London fix the mess it helped create. So the UK faces an impossible choice. Clean up someone else's chaos or risk angering its biggest ally. Either way, one thing's clear. In today's world, going it alone doesn't make you stronger. It just makes you the easiest target. And now, the UK faces a brutal choice. Back its oldest ally and risk wrecking its own economy, or push back and strain its most vital security partnership. The Atlantic Ocean suddenly feels wider, and that so-called special relationship looks more like a long-distance one on the rocks. Here's the great irony. America's aggressive trade tactics, meant to weaken its rivals, are actually gluing them together. How? By turbocharging the rise of an alternative power bloc, the BRICS alliance. Think of it as a new VIP club for nations tired of playing by Western rules. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and their new recruits, all building their own version of the global economy. Washington's tariffs were the wake-up call they needed. Now these countries are trading more among themselves in their own currencies, dodging the US dollar entirely. They're laying down new shipping routes, financial systems, and trade deals that simply don't have "Made in America" on the label. So while the US is busy taxing imports, it's unknowingly financing the construction of a rival global network. The world isn't just dividing, it's duplicating. And Britain? It's the unfortunate test subject caught between two incompatible systems, without the protection of either. Meanwhile, China has been playing a quiet, calculated game. Remember those massive 145% tariffs they threatened on UK goods? They've pressed pause, not out of kindness, but cunning. By holding back, Beijing suddenly looks like the reasonable one, the calm, dependable trade partner, in contrast to Washington's unpredictable mood swings. It's a clever play, offering Britain a lifeline, but one wrapped in fine print. The message is clear. We can help you out of this mess if you work with us. It's economic chess, and China's playing 5 moves ahead. Every moment, the West argues, Beijing's influence grows stronger, not through tanks or treaties, but through carefully placed incentives and quiet persuasion. For the UK, this is no longer just about exports and tariffs. It's about choosing a future. And China, with that patient smile, is making its offer look more and more irresistible. So where does that leave Britain in this global drama? Not the hero, not the villain, just the collateral damage. The small town that got flooded when 2 giants decided to dam the river. It's trapped in a tug of war, the US pulling for loyalty, China pulling with opportunity, and both sides demanding impossible commitments. Every path leads to a cost. Higher tariffs, broken deals, or fraying alliances. Welcome to the new Cold War, fought not with tanks and missiles, but with tariffs, trade routes, and supply chains. Britain's £500 million crisis is more than a national headache. It's a preview of the global storm that's coming. The old world of one big global marketplace? Gone. In its place, 2 massive rival networks are taking shape. The traditional US-led order on one side, and a rapidly expanding BRICS bloc on the other, building its own roads, banks, and currencies. This isn't the end of globalization. It's globalization splitting in 2. And the UK's struggle is the first major test of this new, fractured world. The rules are being rewritten as we speak. Not rules of fairness, but of leverage and power. For every nation watching, the message couldn't be clearer. You can't stay neutral forever. The age of being friends with everyone is over. The great fracture has begun, and everyone sooner or later will have to choose a side.